What the hell? What is this? I can't. Oh my god. I'd like to say I'm at a loss for words, but I'm not. Unfortunately, you could kind of see how that game was going to play out. It was a marathon. Both teams were just going back and forth, right? And it's exciting. It's a really fun game to watch. But we're watching the defending Stanley Cup champions against us, right? And we are a young team. We're an injured team. We're banged up. I was worried about this one. And as exciting as that game was, I was just waiting because I kept seeing all of these high risk plays that just backfired on us completely. And I've got a couple bones to pick, and I'm going to start with this. I'd love for a bunch of people to jump in on the comments here because I've got some to say. And you know what? Before we do that, I think I got to down this beer. I think I have to. If anybody else wants to join me, I'd love that. But without further ado, I'm going to need a second. I didn't want to burp in the microphone. Round 2, fight. All right. Now, I think I'm prepared to talk about this game. And guys, I just want to start out by saying that I'm just not that comfortable right now where we're at. I know we're still in the thick of it. I got to just quickly check the updated standings here. Oh my God, guys, I'm so sorry. That was a bad idea. I should have chugged it before. First off, thanks for commenting. I'm not too mad because it's Florida. They got depth. We're injured, missing our star player, yet we still held them to 1 point. I think you meant 1 goal, but yes, I agree with you. These guys are the defending Stanley Cup champions for a reason. Even if they're missing their top 2 performers, I mean, they're missing Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk. Pretty big deal, right? But they have depth. And Anton Lundell can just slide in for Barkov like it's nothing. It's kind of nauseating if I do say so myself. So I have to double check the standings here, guys. Bear with me 1 moment. So after tonight, man, I mean, okay. Well, it's because we played 2 more games, but yeah, guys, it's not looking good. Right now, if we're looking at wild card, we are 1 point behind the Oilers in the Pacific Division, but they also have played 30 games and we played 32. So they've got 2 games in hand on us. I mean, for the Central Division, we are 6 points behind, and the next, I mean, everybody ahead of us has games in hand. The Wild have 37 points and have 2 games in hand. We have the Stars have 31, and I mean, it's not even worth talking about the Stars and the Avalanche. It's crazy, right? I mean, like, we jumped from 37 points. We're 6 points behind. You know, if they go on a losing streak, then we go on a winning streak. Maybe we can catch up. But the Stars have 47 and the Avalanche have 49. I think there's no friggin' chance that we're going to catch up to the Central Division unless we continue to battle it out with the Wild and the Blackhawks. I don't think this is even right. I mean, I got to refresh. Maybe it's just not. The Blackhawks should be ahead of us. They have 1 more point, right? They've got 32. We got 31. So, yeah, it's not looking good, guys. We have to battle it out with the Blackhawks and the Wild. And then if we're looking at the Pacific Division, we're a couple points behind the Kings, which is nothing crazy. We're 4 points behind the Kings. But they have 3 games in hand on us, and the Oilers have 2 games in hand on us, and they have 1 more point than us. So I I've got a lot to say tonight, and I'm glad you're here. Say your piece. Having the third line in during that faceoff that allowed the goal was ridiculous. Coach has to go. Thank you for bringing this up, guys. As a friend of the team and someone that doesn't want to overstep any boundaries here, I think it's time. I mean, if you listen to our last podcast, we were kind of flirting with the idea with DeBoer, right? DeBoer is say what you will about him. I know he's controversial at times, but if you look at his track record, he brings teams to the Stanley Cup Finals. If he wins them, that's a different story, but he brings teams to deep playoff runs. I'm not really understanding the true infatuation with holding on to a coach that's generally has a losing record. Now, to Trent's point, his trajectory is going upward, right? Every year he improves. His coaching improves, or his teams that he's coaching improves. So I get that. I understand that there's a little bit of loyalty factor there, and saying that, if he was going backwards, it's a little different, right? He is going forward, but this year it's a make or break, right? I think, golly, chugging that beer was not the move. I'll tell you that for free. This year, we've heard multiple times, including a recent interview from Bill Armstrong, and I forgot, it was a local radio station out of Utah. And of course, I'm in Arizona. I don't really get those stations, so you'll have to bear with me. It was reiterated that it was a make or break playoffs, like playoffs or bust. I'm sorry, that's what I was going for. And right now, in approaching mid-December, pivotal time right now to gain points, because not a lot of teams are making moves. This is when you're going to start seeing the heavy hitters start making some additions. And I'm looking at Ryan O'Reilly, and I'm looking at Steven Stamkos. I'm looking at name a player like Kyrou off of St. Louis. I'm looking at a lot of different players from Nazem Kadri, right? These players are going to start going off the boards, and they're going to start going off the boards to teams that we're competing against. And if we don't make a move right now, whether that's coaching or my next guy that I'm going to go in on a little bit, and I apologize in advance for anybody who's a Barrett Hayton fanboy, but man, I think I'm done. Barrett Hayton had so many soft plays tonight. So I was watching him. He looks like he could pass the eye test. He moves his feet fast. He goes to the dirty area of the ice. But there was multiple times. So I challenged myself tonight to watch Barrett Hayton shift by shift and just watch to see what he does well and watch to see what areas of improvement, right? The Barrett Hayton of past used to just bowl guys over. He was like a bull in a china shop, which I think he started to realize that he's never going to be the offensive player that he was projected to be in the NHL. So he had to adapt his game a little bit. He's got the speed. He's got the shot. He started to develop this like prick mentality where he would just run guys over and go, excuse me, bombard the net and piss off the goalies and piss off the other team. Tonight, I saw him stop up multiple times when there was a puck battle, right? I think there was 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game. And I don't know why that stuck with me, because I was sitting there, I was like, I got to bring this up. And I wish I had something or the ability to replay that moment from the game. But there was a battle. There was a loose puck in the defensive end, and there was a Panther that was racing to the puck, and Barrett Hayton was racing to the puck. And in my heart, I was thinking, like, yes, just mow him over, dude. Just bulldoze him and win this puck battle and get the puck out of the zone. And he stopped up to prevent getting hit. And there was a weak pass to the center ice, and it didn't amount to anything. But that's when I realized, like, this guy is not the same guy that I've had the hopes he would be, I guess is what I was trying to say. Let the sorry, let the burp rip if that's okay. All right, here we go. I did try to pretend that I chugged that whole thing last time, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was too much of a puss. It was I want to pay homage to some of the comments here. Money Puck gives us a 41 chance of making the playoffs. 41% chance. I'm not comfortable with that number. That's sub 50. I don't like that at all. That's just, and I'm assuming that you agree with me there. There it is, guys. What are we doing? We need to address the gaping holes that we have in our lineup. Logan Cooley is out indefinitely. I know a lot of you are new to hockey. I'm not, unfortunately. I love being a hockey fan, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, I've been a Coyotes fan for a long time. Indefinitely is not a word you want to hear. That's basically the team saying we are not trying to give up too much information, but we're not going to show our complete hand here until later on. And there's a good chance that he misses a good chunk of the rest of the season, if not the rest of the season. And I just based off that play, it was ugly. I mean, his leg went backwards, guys. Let's think about that. That's just not something you recover from easily. And I hope for our sake and his sake that it was like a tib and fib fracture versus knee damage. Structural damage to the knee is really hard to overcome. But it was like right in that sweet spot, right underneath the bulb of the knee pad. Anybody that plays hockey knows how big that bulb is, right around the knee. And then right in between there and the rest of the shin pad, that's kind of where it looked like there was the flexibility there, and there should not be flexibility there. I don't care how much yoga these guys do. Your leg's not supposed to bend that way. He kind of looked like a toy at the bottom of a toy box when you're digging through some stuff and you got a G.I. Joe and then you see the legs all backwards. That's kind of, if you watch that in slow motion, that's kind of what it looked like to me. And that's not a good sign. So I digress. I'm a little agitated, guys. So I apologize if I'm all over the board here. I was expecting this to be a much happier stream than it is right now, but mammoth gonna mammoth, I guess. And I don't want that to become a thing, but it just seems to be becoming a thing. And the only way to prevent that, excuse me, this is gonna be ugly. Tobacco is a nasty habit. Don't get into it, guys. The only way to prevent that is to make a change. And it's not too late to make a change. Like, the year that the St. Louis Blues won a Stanley Cup, I think they were bottom of the standings, like last in the league standings, I think in November. And they came back after hiring Craig Berube, now Toronto's head coach, and they won the Stanley Cup. At this point, I've run out of excuses for our head coach. I have. And I don't know if you guys agree with me. I'm going to hit the chat here again. Let's see. I'm sad to say I'm losing faith in our playoff chances this year. I still love following the team, but it feels like we're so far away from being a team of bring a team of consequence. I appreciate your coverage. Sorry. I'm with you. I'm like, I don't know if me not being able to read right or if there was something that I was just not understanding there, but I agree with you. The playoff chances are fading quickly. And I think it's kind of written on the wall that if we don't do something in the next couple of weeks, guys, it's only going to get worse from here. There just aren't enough options to replace Bear midseason. And I agree with that. Now, there's an argument to be made that interim coaches do kind of rattle a team to their core, right? Like where, I hate to say it, but I don't trust any of our associate coaches to take over the realm here. But say we did, and we promoted one of our associate coaches for the rest of the season. It kind of looks like you're throwing in the towel there. I don't think that that's what the Mammoth want to do this year. But I do think a change needs to be made. And I think Corey said it best on our last podcast that Andre Turney is owed at least one trade. He has been, for the most part, on the upward trajectory, and we have to at least give him one more solid trade, maybe a midseason trade, which we haven't seen a lot from Bill Armstrong. Actually, I don't remember, besides the Olimata trade, the last significant trade that we've made mid-season. It's all been off-season. So I think he is owed a trade, and maybe that's shipping out Barrett Hayton. Again, on the off chance that Barrett Hayton sees this, I don't hate you as a player. I just don't think that you fit here. I don't think that you're a top 2 center on this team. And I think he'd be an elite 4th line center. I think he'd be a very above average 3rd line center. He's being penciled in for a second, maybe 1st line center, depending on injury. And I just don't think it fits here. We need more depth down the middle, and I'm thinking Ryan O'Reilly. I'm thinking Kadri, but I feel like someone's going to beat us at the punch there. All right, let's go back to the chat here. Yeah, Chaika era folks are I really feel like they should be the first folks to go. Yep. Barrett Hayton is one of the few remaining players from the Chaika era. Now, I was a big advocate. I'm not going to go down memory road here because a lot of people that are currently following this team do not care. But I was a big advocate for drafting a different player that draft. And he didn't work out, Philip Sedina. But when we chose Barrett Hayton, I just kind of felt that it wasn't going to be what we wanted and what we expected of the player. And of course, you want to draft a center, right? That's a premier position. Any Chaika fans will know what that means. But really, he's an NHL player, right? That's what you hope for out of any first round draft pick. He's an NHL player. He's just not a 5th overall pick caliber player. And I think maybe that's what a lot of people are holding on to. And I think we have to realize that there's a reason he hasn't signed long-term ever. He's just been bridge to bridge to bridge contract. And, in a few years, he's going to be approaching UFA. And I say get rid of him now. Trade him while he still has some value, while he's still protected under the restricted free agency rules. Send him to another team that can control his rights for a little bit and see if he flourishes there. Maybe add a couple draft picks. God knows we don't need any more. And try to upgrade that position. And I think now's the time. I really do. I think that if there's not a move made before Christmas, we're in dire straits here, guys. I don't think it's getting better. With C being an obvious problem, C being center, how much of that is solved when Kerfoot gets back? Kerfoot is a Swiss Army knife. So I do think that he has a lot of value there just based off of the fact that he can kind of play up and down the lineup anywhere, right? He can play on the wing. He can play right wing, left wing. He could be penalty kill. He could be power play. He's a great, great player to have. He's an ideal playoff performer. He's somebody that you want on a playoff run. He's a smart guy. Harvard, ever heard of it? But that being said, he doesn't move the needle. That's the way I look at it. We probably get a couple points over the last stretch of losses that we had. We probably get a couple points out of that if Kerfoot's in the lineup. I just don't think he's a needle mover. I think at this point we have to seriously decide what we want to be this year. And we've been quote unquote promised a playoffs or bust season. And I don't know about you guys. I'm just not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. And if that's because Bill Armstrong is sitting on his hands and trying to remain patient because he built the roster that he truly believes in, I respect that. Do I agree sitting on your hands this long into the season? And I rarely disagree with Bill Armstrong, but no, I don't agree with this. I think at this point you have to strike while the iron's hot. And right now the iron is as hot as it can be, which kind of frustrating. Sorry, I just kicked my desk here. But it's aggravating. It's something that I wish we would have addressed a couple weeks back. But I mean, hindsight's 2020, and then nobody predicted that Logan Cooley would have that ugly of an injury, and now it might be too late to address anything, because now we're negotiating from a stance of desperation versus, hey, I want to make a tweak to my lineup. What can you give me? Now people know, and other GMs in the league are not stupid. They're going to be like, hey, you have a bubble playoff team right now, and your number one center just went down with an ugly, ugly injury. I think you need this player more than you are portraying that you need this player. Versus if we would have addressed this a week ago, it would have just looked like that we were adding to a roster that we believe in. And now I just feel like we're going to be kind of looked at as a team where you could comfortably start your backup goalie against us and give your main goalie a rest, and you have a pretty good chance of winning the game. And that's really, really unfortunate. That's where the Coyotes were for a long time, and Andre Tourigny was a Coyotes coach for a long time. And I just think that we need to start calling a spade a spade. For me, I'm hesitant about moving the first rounder for a rental when the team is showing that they are not ready. I'm agreeing with you there. At this point, I would say I think it's a weird stance to be in, because it's so early on in the year. I mean, I'm acting like it's doomsday here, but in a sense, it's time to shit or get off the pot, right? But if you move your first rounder right now and you continue to suck, but suck, then you're potentially giving away a lottery pick. And we all know the lottery works, right? I mean, we moved from 14th to 4th. So you could barely miss the playoffs and get a shot at Gavin McKenna, right? It's tricky, because me not knowing the extent of Logan Cooley's injury, I would say right now I'd still probably move an unprotected first for an elite player. And I'm thinking like Tage Thompson or something along those lines, even though I don't know if the Sabres are all doing that bad right now. Well, yeah, they are. Never mind. They're pretty bad. I was trying to make a point. I just saw that they won. Josh Stone put up 2 goals the other night. Shout out to our boy Josh Stone. I miss that guy. One of those guys that you think would probably benefit this roster. Not saying that Paterka has not. Paterka's been a great ad for us, but Josh Stone just scored 2 goals the other night, including a beautiful between the legs goal. I think it was against the Senators. But with that being said, the only way I'm moving like an unprotected first is if we're getting somebody, an elite player from one of those bottom feeding teams, and that's the Sabres, the Senators, the Blue Jackets, the Predators, the Blues, the Canucks. Although I don't really like anybody on the Canucks. I'm not a big Elias Pettersson fan anymore. I would probably donate one of my unmentionables for Nazem Kadri at this moment. I know a lot of people think he's over the hill, but the guy is he's a shit disturber, and he's a playoff performer, and he's proven to I don't want to say he's a proven playoff performer, because in his Toronto Maple Leafs days, he was like suspended every other game, but that's kind of nastiness we need right now. I don't know if you guys saw it tonight, but we were kind of going back and forth, punch for punch. It was an exciting game, but what was missing there? What was missing? To me, what was missing is solid defensive structure when you make a high risk offensive play, because that's what this team was doing. They were flying by the seat of their pants all night, and just I mean, look at Gunther's 2 goals, breakaways, right? They were just looking for that lob pass. If someone gets 2 breakaways a game, that usually means that they're planning on that, right? When that happens, you are legitimately looking for someone to not be covering their man in the defensive zone as well as they could be, because they're cherry picking and they're looking for a goal. And there's a time and a place for that, for sure. But why did that happen twice tonight? Why were we not playing a more defensive minded game tonight against the Stanley Cup friggin' champions? It's going to sound like I'm beating up on the dude, and he could probably beat up on me. He's like a part of a biker gang, I think, and his nickname is legitimately Bear. So I still don't know where that came from, but you have to question the coaching there. You have to question the coach. It looks like we're playing desperate hockey. Am I the only one that thinks that? Leave a comment. The way that I see these games playing lately is that we're just playing desperate hockey. We're fighting from our back. We're throwing blows from our back every game. And that is that indicative of the coaching losing control of the room? Like, do you have the room if you're every game you're playing desperate hockey? I don't think so. I mean, I'm just looking up a stat here, trying to see if Google currently has the correct standings. Yeah, I don't know. Don't trust Google, I guess. They still have us above the Blackhawks, even though we have 31 points and they have 32, but I digress. We just look like we're playing desperate hockey, and that's just, I mean, you look at the teams that are doing really well this year, the Avalanche and the Stars, they put a stranglehold on every team that they play. And besides October, I haven't seen a stranglehold game by the Utah Mammoth at all. Especially with how good this draft class is looking. I agree. I know it's again one of those drafts, and it's like, well, maybe we kick the can down the road one more year, and we're okay with not making the playoffs, so we can get one more player. But it's like, that's an ugly trend. I don't know if you want to do that, especially with Clayton Keller's contract coming up. How many times does this dude want to miss the playoffs, especially in the Olympic year? Like, if he's snubbed for the Olympics, as he was snubbed for the Four Nations face-off, and we missed the playoffs this year, how much disappointment can this guy truly deal with before he realizes, like, I'm just not getting enough attention, and maybe I need to go join a playoff contending team to really show my value in the league, because he's a young buck, but NHL, that's once you start approaching 30, God, how old is Clayton Keller? Probably 27. Yeah, he's 27. Once you start approaching 30, that's when things start getting interesting. That's when you start realizing, like, maybe it's time for me to try to take my talents to South Beach, as LeBron said. Oh, God, I don't even want to think about that. Clayton Keller on the Panthers, that makes me sick. All right, let's keep going. Plus, I want as many entry-level contracts as possible with the expansion on the horizon. I have another beer, guys. I have thoughts on this. I wouldn't put too much stake on expansion coming anytime within the next few years, especially because the Board of Governors meet a lot, and they're a little distracted this year with the fiasco that is the shortened small rink for the Olympics. Like, we're just getting back into the Olympics, and now we have to, like, shorten the ice to make it work. They're a little distracted this year, but we've talked about, Atlanta, we've talked about Phoenix, we've talked about Houston, we've talked about a lot of different potential destinations for a new NHL team, and as far as I know, nobody is like turnkey as far as like being ready to take on an expansion team. Plus, the fee is going to be like $2 billion right now. I think they're going to wait a little bit until the fee goes back down to reality a little bit, because like you think about it, Vegas and Seattle, both really wealthy markets, were able to increase the price of an expansion team, and then freaking the Ottawa Senators got sold for $900 million. Again, a wealthy market, but still, I don't anticipate expansion being. I guess I don't want to say I don't anticipate that. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what's going on. I wouldn't make any roster decisions based off of that right now. I think there's a time and a place for it. I don't think it's right now. What are the chances that Turney doesn't finish the season at this point? Isn't it all on him? Utah has a playoffs roster, but it ain't happening on his watch. I would say he's coming up on a contract, right? This is his last year of his contract. I would say if it's clear that the team is not going to make the playoffs, I don't think they're going to fire him. I think if we continue down this path that we're doing, or we're heading down right now, and by mid-January, if we're still on the outside looking in, especially if we're significantly on the outside looking in, I don't think they make a change this year. I think they just ride it out and say, it's like a kind of like a, hey, thank you for everything, but we're gonna explore other options. I would say that if we continue to win 2 games, lose 3, win 3 games, lose 2, and we still remain in the thick of it, that's a more realistic possibility for a coaching change, even though that does seem kind of counterproductive. I would say that if Bill Armstrong believes that this team does have a chance, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to make a significant trade. We've been talked about in many different rumor mills about being a team to watch out for big game, another burp, big game hunting. And I could still see that. I mean, it's early yet. We haven't even reached the roster freeze, and that's one of the main deadlines, I would say, like deadline spring action, right? And deadlines typically do bring some roster moves, personnel moves, whether that's firing a coach or acquiring a player, or trading somebody that you just don't believe is going to be an asset to your team anymore. That's why the trade deadline is traditionally a pretty busy time. These general managers could have done these moves at any time, but then decide to wait for one day on the calendar year to make moves. And it's just because, again, deadline spring action. So the roster freeze, that's a significant one, because NHL players are given a little bit of time off for the holidays, and nobody wants to be traded right before Christmas. That just sucks. So I would say that there's a better chance right now that we see a big trade if we continue this path that we're on, than seeing Turney fired. And if we do make a big trade, that's indicative that Bill Armstrong believes in the roster, and if we still with that big trade kind of tread water, I think that's when we see Turney getting relieved of his duties. I was at the game and knew that Florida would find a way to win, period. And this is a Florida team that's only above Buffalo in the East and missing a ton of players. Yep. I mean, there's just not one thing that the Coyotes of the past used to do is they would play down to their competition. Now, I'm not saying that Florida's a bad team. Obviously, we can't really say that about them. But they certainly are injury riddled. And this, I would say, would be a scheduled win. You have to look at this team and say, hey, we know you're the Stanley Cup final, or you're the Stanley Cup champion, but you're injury riddled, and we have some injuries on our side as well, but we're going to take advantage of you, and we're going to make this happen. And for a little bit of that game, it felt good. And then all of a sudden we were down 3-1, and now you're fighting from your back again. That's just, again, that's being complacent. That's taking your foot off the gas pedal, and that falls on the players, but that mainly falls, if we're talking about the head of the snake, on the coach. Your job as a coach is to make sure your teams don't get comfortable and they don't get complacent, and they just continue to fight fire with fire. Hey, bro, can you leave some girls for the right? Don't trust me, man. The only girls I have are my dogs and my wife. And I had to make sure I didn't say that too loud because I don't want her thinking I just called her a dog. She's a beautiful person. Would never say that to her face. Just kidding. Anyway, thank you. I can't tell if that was sarcastic or not, but I appreciate you regardless. That was awesome. Yeah, on the NHL website, it seems to be updated. Okay, so it's just Google that's messing with us. Okay. Kenny, John Cooper quietly extended another season, now until the 26-27 season. Who's out there that could put Utah over the top as a head coach? I'm going to say it again. It's got to be Pete DeBoer. Not a lot of people like this option, but I do. I believe in Pete DeBoer. A lot of people had the same feelings about Jim Montgomery, who's the St. Louis head coach. And I'm not saying it's kind of probably a bad time to bring this up when it comes to coaching success, because the Blues are kind of on a downward spiral right now. Wow, words are hard. But Jim Montgomery had an issue when he was hired as the Dallas Stars coach that put kind of like a black mark on his name, and everybody just thought he was a controversial coach. And again, St. Louis fired Craig Berube, the aforementioned Craig Berube, to make sure that they had a chance of hiring Jim Montgomery. Some coaches just find themselves in a rut, but you got to look at the stats. I'm a data guy, and if I see that Pete DeBoer brought the Sharks and the Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights on deep playoff runs with rosters that were not necessarily projected to go that far, I'm with that all day. Really, the other coaches out there, it's kind of slim picking right now. I would say that we obviously have to bring up the Peter Laviolette relationship with Bill Armstrong. Peter Laviolette gave Bill Armstrong his first job. Peter Laviolette has won a couple Stanley Cups, I think. For sure one in Carolina. Maybe he hasn't won more than one, but he's also taken teams on deep playoff runs. But I just don't like the way he coaches. He's more of a veteran favorite guy, and we just don't have a ton of veterans. So that's a tricky question. Ulical. I don't know if there's anybody available right now that would move the needle much more than Pete DeBoer would. Yeah, the Cooley injury shows how much we need Denoyer to develop quickly. Do you think there's any possibility of the fourth overall having changed plans for BA with 2C? If you're talking about us drafting Denoyer to fill in as a top 6 center, or essentially a top 2 center, I don't think so. I think he's got to develop. He's still probably he might be one of those guys that's the I'm forgetting the name of the rule right now, but there's going to be like an exception, right, where you have a couple prospects that are under the age of eligibility to play in the AHL. But it sounds like each team is going to at least have one, if not 2 prospects that they can grant exceptional status to play in the AHL, so they can be a part of a more development league versus just dominating the league that they're in, which Caleb Denoyer, if he stays another year there, it's probably, I don't know. It's definitely, I don't want to say it's counterproductive. He's still going to put up a lot of points and gain a lot of confidence, but that's someone that you need, especially if you want him to slot into a first or second line center role, that you need him to be playing against men. Oh, my buddy. On the bright side, it's almost World Juniors time. Yes, if you know anything about Trent, this guy loves the World Juniors. I remember talking to Trent years ago on the website HF Boards when Jacob Markstrom was playing on Team Sweden. This must have been like 2008 or 2009. And he was talking about how incredible of a goalie Jacob Markstrom would be. And then he's right. He's always right. I mean, it's crazy. Like Jacob Markstrom didn't really have the immediate success that we all thought he would, but I mean, he's a starting goaltender and just signed a big ticket in New Jersey not too long ago. So it's one of those things that the World Juniors are a really fun tournament to watch. If you are just getting into hockey or brand new to hockey, if the Utah Mammoth are your first introduction to hockey, make sure you find a way to watch the World Juniors because it's like a mini Olympics, except for 18-year-olds. It's crazy. And these guys are all hungry to fight and make sure that they are seen by every scout that's possibly there on the biggest scale. And that's the World Juniors. So I'm excited for it too, buddy. It's good to hear from you. Talk about cheeks. Oh my God. I love that nickname. That is probably the best nickname. Okay, so bear with me. It is after dark, so I'm going to tell you one other hockey nickname that I'm not going to get into one because it's a little gruesome, but I'll talk about one that's familiar to the Coyotes. And so obviously, if you listen to Spit and Chicklets at all, you're probably familiar with Keith Yandel. If you've been a hockey fan for a while, you're familiar with Keith Yandel. Keith Yandel was an original Coyotes draft pick and ended up being a premier defenseman. And his nickname was Jelly, and nobody knew why. It turns out somebody spilled the beans or someone figured it out. Someone definitely smarter than I would. I'm sorry. His initials are KY. So KY Jelly. I love that. So Cheeks is probably one of my all-time favorite just based off of his name and the fact that he just wears it so proudly. I love that. What is he doing well and what does he need to improve? I think right now Cheeks is doing well. I mean, he doesn't stand out negatively. It's kind of exactly what I expected of him. I didn't expect him to come in and light it up, but I expected him to learn how to operate his big frame against the best players in the world. And he's getting chances. He's using his speed. It's the first time that I've actually seen his speed burst. He's pretty impressive. I didn't realize, like everybody says, oh, well, he's a great skater for his size, but he's truly a great skater. And so we do have a diamond in the rough there, I believe. It's also one of those guys that could be just like boom or bust, just based off of his size. But I think he's a pretty safe bet to at least reach his floor potential. And I think most of us would agree that even if he's a second line sniper, that's exactly what you need. That's the guy that you want in the playoffs. So right now, I'm not going to be too hard on Cheeks. I'm sorry. As that was coming out of my mouth, I realized it kind of sounded inappropriate. But anyway, that being said, I think he looks great. I think he needs a little bit more time up here. And I would like to see Simashev back up here as well, especially if we're in this like weird purgatory. I think Denoyer may head to the NCAA next season. He's held off on the ELC for a reason. That's so true. And we actually talked about this. I'd like to see him in the NCAA. If he's not one of those exception players that goes straight to the AHL, I'd like to see him go to the NCAA and make a mark. I think there was even rumors last offseason, I guess just a few months ago, that he was considering a transition to the NCAA. But I think just for his own development path, I think if he doesn't go to the AHL, going to the NCAA makes a ton of sense. And that's probably the reason why he has held off for an entry-level contract, which is a great point. Great point. And I hate to compliment Trent, but he makes some good points. Excited for Hoke and Snechka? Golly. Snechika. I don't know. Someone's going to butcher, or I just butchered it. Someone's going to butcher me for butchering that. On the Czech team, Shame Harabel is over the age limit than the 3 guys that should be on Team Canada. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that too. I'm still, anytime that I read Harabel or think about that guy, it kind of scares the shit out of me because I still have no idea what this guy, our most promising goalie prospect in the pipeline, is going to do. I just don't want to get burned by this guy. But yeah, I'm excited to watch our players in the World Juniors because that's, again, it's the biggest stage for that age group. So I guess so that's the end of my comments here. Keep them coming because I still have a little bit more to say, but and I appreciate everybody joining in. I mean, it's kind of lonely when I'm just sitting here. I have a new office set up, by the way. It's pretty cool. It's not as cool as the other guys on the team here, but I'm working on it. I just moved offices, so it's kind of lonely in here. I will tell you that. So I appreciate everybody jumping in. So I think we're gonna have to do this. I think we're gonna have to set a deadline, and we talked about this recently. So today is what, December 10th. I think if this team is still on the outside looking in 10 days, I know that's not a lot, but I think in 10 days, so that'd be December 20th. That's right before the holiday roster freeze kicks in. Sorry, I just watched it. This is one of my favorite comments ever because I can feel it. I do have a window right there, and I don't know why, but I just feel like somebody's watching me. I think if in 10 days we're still on the outside looking in, I'd say it's probably looking pretty grim. And when I say on the outside looking in, I'm not saying like if we're within a point and all teams have played around the same amount of games, I don't consider that being on the outside looking in. I'd say that you're still, you still have a good chance. But if we are 6 points separated from a wild card spot, I think that is when you might see the team just decide to, hey, you know what? We're pushing all our chips to the center of the table. We're going to let Andre Tourigny ride his contract year out. We're going to just bet on the team that we built in the offseason. And if it doesn't work, then the first move in the offseason is that Tourigny's gone. We're going to hire a new coach. And there's probably going to be some significant roster changes. And I'm assuming that Barrett Hayton, one of the upgrades there, I'm assuming that we'll get another defenseman, probably most glaring need, I would say, is another right shot defenseman that is a staple in the lineup. And I'd start to, I hate to say this, guys, but I'd start to question Vemelka's future with this team as well. Let's unleash Jay Swish, Jordan Schmaltz on Leafs Nation. Schmaltz for Lawton, do it. I would do that in a heartbeat. I don't know if Toronto would. I think that Toronto at this point is probably looking for. Oof, God, that's actually not a bad fit, though. That's not a bad fit. Let me see. I think that Toronto would be taking a step back if they traded Lawton. I think he is a guy that you need that can get you through the playoffs and not someone that just gets you to the playoffs. But I don't hate the idea of Schmaltz on Toronto. We'll do it. We'll tell them it's for Bieber. We'll tell them just do it for the clicks. Yeah, I mean, any team that's associated with Justin Bieber, as much as they may like that or may not like that, any additional support online and influencer support could help. So Jay Swish could put this team over the top and finally break the curse. I don't remember the last time Toronto won a Stanley Cup. I think it was like 1967, 67. Sorry, guys. I have a 6-year-old kid. I can't believe I just did that on recording. Maple Leafs. I can see comments out of my peripheral, and it's not good after I just did the 6-7 thing. So last Stanley Cup, 67. You can't make this shit up. I mean, you can't. I mean, is this the year that 6-7 became a thing that Toronto breaks the curse? I don't think so. But anyway, yeah, I like Trent's idea there. I'd like to add somebody that you can plug anywhere in the lineup that can be a son of a bitch to play against, and we don't need all this high-flying offense that we're seeing from everybody. Like, I love Michael Carcone, but you see it because every time you watch him play, like, this guy can make a scoring chance out of nothing. But there's a reason why he said he wasn't going to sign with the Mammoth and then went and tested the market and ended up signing back with the Mammoth because nobody bid on him. It's because he's a high-flying offensive guy, and it's just not a guy that you can trust that you're going to be able to win with on a regular basis. So we have a lot of guys like that. We do. I mean, like, I'm obviously not talking down on Dylan Guenther or Logan Cooley or Nick Schmaltz or anything, because they do what they do very well. I just think you need a better mix. And with a better mix, I think you need a coach that doesn't change the fucking lineup the lineup so much. We can't just continue to throw the line combinations into a Yahtzee cup and throw it out on the table and say, okay, that's what I'm going with tonight. You need some consistency. Even if it's not working, don't be so impatient, which is kind of hypocritical of me because it's December 10th and I'm calling for a coaching change, but I digress. Go with what you know. Go with what you believe in and stop changing the lineup every other night. Because at that point, you're just not building any consistency. And even if you lose 3 in a row, keep that same lineup together and put the onus on the players saying, you know what, I'm not changing up anything in this lineup. This is all you guys. This is not me. You guys want to play with these guys. Show me before I have to make a change. And right now, it just seems like we're changing the lineup shift by shift, not just game by game. And it's driving me freaking nuts. I'll get to a couple more comments, guys, and then I probably have to jam. All right. Which teams are most likely to throw in the towel on this season and sell? Whose roster should we be digging through? You're going to see that with Nashville. You're going to see that with Buffalo. You're going to see that with Calgary. Let's take a look at the other ones. I mean, St. Louis might be another one too. Vancouver for sure. Vancouver is already kind of in that same like muckiness or whatever that they were last year. They probably traded the wrong player when they traded JT Miller instead of Elias Pettersson. It now looks like they're going to lose a superstar defenseman in Quinn Hughes, which is crazy. And kind of feel bad for Vancouver. But at the same time, when you lose a game, don't go burn down your city, and things might be different. But I could see those guys. I don't see the Sharks selling off anybody from their roster. I mean, I think they're just happy to be there. I know there's been a lot of talk around the Kings lately with Philip Deneau, who I actually would like on this team, just due to his fact that he's a two-way player and he's a playoff performer. But I think the Kings are one of those teams that are kind of in the thick of it, and I don't anticipate that they're going to. I don't anticipate that they're going to make too many changes there. So I would say in the Western Conference, we're looking at Calgary, Nashville, St. Louis, Vancouver. And then in the Eastern Conference, I'm looking at Buffalo. And goodness gracious. The East is tight. Probably Columbus, although Columbus is on a heater right now. Yeah, in the East, I don't really see a lot of teams that are going to be sellers besides Buffalo. I don't see, because the East right now, we've got the New York Islanders leading. That's crazy. Then we got Tampa right behind them. Then we have Ottawa, which I guess I could see if they go on a little bit of a deep or a dive down the standings. I could see them being a team that would start selling off. Capitals, I don't think any time that you have Ovechkin on the team and you've got Tom Wilson vying for the Canadian Olympic team, I don't see either I don't see the Capitals selling off anything while those guys are still there. Columbus, I could see. New York Rangers, I could potentially see. But I mean, they just locked up Igor Shesterkin, and they have one more year of Panarin, so I think that they just go for it. Philly, I don't see. I mean, Tocchet's done wonders with that team. The Panthers, obviously, they're not going to sell. They're just in a slump. I think the same thing about Toronto, that they're just in a slump and need to make some changes. Buffalo, I think, is the only team in the East. So we are talking Buffalo. We're talking St. Louis, Vancouver, Nashville, and Calgary. Quinn Hughes to Utah. Hughes-Taw. That's what I should have named this podcast. I thought about it. I just don't think that it's a smart move. If we were able to give them what they were wanting, which I do think that we have the pieces, there would probably be a piece like Tisha Ginla or Cole Baudouin or somebody that we're uncomfortable giving up, and then a couple more draft picks. I just don't think that we're going to be able to convince him to sign long term. I think eventually he's going to sign with a team that's close with him in one capacity or the other, and that's either New Jersey because his two brothers play there, or Detroit, or another team that he maybe idolized growing up because he's from Michigan. His brothers play in Jersey. I think that once he has his pick of the litter, it's Utah's not going to be on the short list. Unfortunately not. What are your general thoughts on our defense, guys? 1 second here. I need something. Start talking about defense. I need beer for this. Our defense, I'm woefully disappointed. I'm going to say something that not a lot of people are going to like. I think this team could survive without Sean Durzi. I do. Not saying that he's the liability. I just think that that's somebody that we could potentially look as an upgraded spot. I think more of a two-way defenseman, maybe less offense, maybe less of a power play quarterback, especially with the trend of most teams nowadays playing 4 forwards and 1 defenseman on the power play. I think the quote-unquote defenseman being the power play quarterback is a little bit of an overrated idea now. I think that we need more two-way defense on our team. I think Nate Schmidt, he tries hard, and I'm going to just stop there. I'm not wearing a Schmidt jersey. This is my number in hockey. Just happens to have my last name on it. And I'm not saying anything about the guy himself. He made an incredible play tonight to stop a breakaway that would have probably put the game out of reach and had me drink more beers than I did before this. But I just need more consistency out of our defense and two-way players and a little bit more grit and snarl. And I'm just not seeing that. I don't know if I'm alone in that factor, but like, guys, look at our defense. I mean, Ian Cole, cheers, by the way. Ian Cole, bless his heart, is playing his ass off. There's some bright spots on our defense. Sergachev, kind of been hit or miss. He seems like he's playing an emotional game right now, which is not always a bad thing, but when you're on the wrong side of the emotions, that can be a bad thing. I think that there needs to be an upgrade on defense. I don't think this is a playoff caliber defensive core. I just don't see it. I didn't even freaking read the rest of your comment. I still think we're one of the best teams in the league at limiting total shots per game, but feel we make a lot of brain lapse mistakes. You might be right there. I don't know if we are one of the better teams at suppressing shots, but I don't think that that's completely attributed to the defense. I think that is largely a part of the neutral zone being controlled by our team. And we do play well in the neutral zone, and we have good offensive zone breakouts or penetration. And so I do think that that's part of the reason why our shot totals have been lower, but I just don't see the defense being like a top 10 in the league. I don't know if I'd even consider them top 15 or top 16 if you want to go half the league. Only three teams in the West have fewer goals than LA. They need scoring. Schmaltz for Dano. I'm right there with you, Trent. As soon as I started hearing the Dano rumors, I thought that would be a perfect fit for Utah. A veteran presence. He is truly an elite two-way center, and that's what you need. And again, he's a playoff performer. I think that that's somebody that you can just rely on the fact that he's going to bounce back. I mean, he's having a down year this year, but a lot of players do. And sometimes that's just indicative that they need to change of scenery. So I would yesterday trade Schmaltz for Dano. And I'm not trying to downplay Schmaltz. I just think the writing's on the wall that he's not going to return. Right? I mean, he's one of the elite unrestricted free agents this year. So he's going to have his pick of the litter, and he's going to get paid a stupid amount of money, more money than I think that we should definitely pay for him. No matter how good of chemistry he has with the team, he doesn't scream playoff player to me. So if you take a step backwards in production, I think you make up for that in intangibles when you trade Schmaltz, especially for someone like Dano. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Sergey plays with a lot of emotion, which looks good when we win, but can look bad at times when we're losing. Yep. I think emotion's a great thing to play with, and I'm not trying to, tell people that they shouldn't feel what they feel. I just think that tonight he let Sam Bennett get in his head a little bit, right? I think he got boarded, which was kind of on him. He turned his back at the last second and got boarded. I know a lot of us were probably looking for a penalty at that time, and myself included. But when I watch it back as a unbiased hockey fan, I don't see that that's boarding. I think that that's a bait play by Sergachev, and he knew what was going to happen. He got boarded. He was upset that it didn't work out, so he went and laid out somebody. I think it was Reinhart, and then he got lit up by Bennett again, and he was quiet for the rest of the game. That's not the style of play that you want to play with every night. I think everybody's entitled to having an emotionally driven night. And I think Sergachev's an elite defenseman. I think we're so lucky to have him. I just think that right now, with the caliber of players that he has around him, maybe that's kind of a detriment to his play, and the reason why he is being a little bit more emotional with his decisions on the ice. So I don't know. I think our defense definitely is second priority to the first priority being a defensive. I'm sorry, not a defensive, but a depth setter, and we need to address it ASAP. I mean, do you guys agree? Like, this needs to happen before the end of the month. If not, then I think we're done. I truly do. He just needs John Cooper to calm him down. Easy. Yeah, that'd be great, right? I think that ship has sailed. I think unless you're talking about trading him back to Tampa, which I don't want to do. I think John Cooper has kind of put himself back in the potential Jack Adams winner. His roster's significantly depleted, and he's still in a wild card position this early on. It's crazy, but I would take John Cooper. I'll tell you that for free. That guy can ask me on a date. I'm not saying no. I'm gonna go for that. Let's start thinking about some coaches that right now. Well, let's get into this real quick. I know I said I was going to get off of here real quick, but I'm just trying to think of current coaches on teams that could be on the hot seat. So Nashville, is that John Hines? Don't want John Hines. Calgary Flames. It's not Craig Conroy. I think Craig Conroy is the GM. God, I forget who the head coach is for the Flames. Regardless, I don't know him and I want him. St. Louis, I would take Jim Montgomery for sure. If they decided to make a coaching change, I would take Jim Montgomery. Vancouver, nah, hard pass. The Sabres, nope, I'm not touching that. Toronto, again, I don't think they're making a coaching change. I don't think Florida's making a coaching change. I don't think Philly's making a coaching change. And those are all the bottom feeders. So I think the only way that I think there's one of three things that are going to happen. One of those teams, those bottom feeding teams, are going to fire a coach. It might be somebody that's of interest of our front office, and we just make a lateral move and say, okay, we're canning Turney and we're hiring. I don't think this will happen, but Jim Montgomery, right? So that's one. The second option is that we hire a unrestricted free agent as a coach, and I think the best unrestricted free agent as a coach right now is Pete DeBoer. That would be, I think, the most realistic option out of all three. Out of the two that I've mentioned so far, I think the most realistic option is that Turney plays out the remainder of his contract and that he's not back next year. Ryan Huska for Calgary, that's right. Again, hard pass. Sorry. I just don't really. He's not a guy I would can Turney for and just be like, you know what? I believe in you, Huska. Maybe somebody else sees something that I don't. Obviously, Calgary does, but I just think that that's a lateral move that doesn't seem to benefit anybody, especially with Calgary being at the bottom of the rankings in the West. So don't forget the connection between BA and Laviolette. So we actually talked about this a little bit earlier, and I do think that it's a strong consideration. I don't think it's a strong possibility. I don't think that with our roster that he's the best fit for that, because he tends to lean on veteran players more, and that's the reason why he's kind of gotten shipped out of all of his jobs. That being said, his track record's pretty impressive. And I know DeBoer has been talked about with like leaning on his veterans more than his youngsters, but you think about the players that he's coached. He's got Miro Heiskanen, Wyatt Johnston, Robertson. Those guys are all putting up or did put up career highs underneath him. So I'm not worried about our youth. Shout out to my cousin Vinny. Youths. I don't worry about our development of our young stars under him. I think gun to my head right now, I'd say first call tomorrow is to call up Pete DeBoer and see if he has any interest in joining this team. If he says yes, then the second call is to Andre Turney and saying thank you and wish you nothing but the best moving forward. That's my ideal situation. I think that's the only way that we salvage this year. I know, like I said, I think based off of Corey's last podcast, I think that Turney might be owed a trade. I just don't know if there's a lot of people like willing participants to give up somebody that we need to try to help us climb the standings. It's just, unfortunately, the easiest change to make to a makeup of a roster is to fire the coach, and that's why they don't have long tenures. But if don't tell that to Turney. He's, I think, the fourth longest tenured coach in the league. So with that, I think, guys, we are going to wrap it up. But beforehand, I just want to say thank you, guys. I got a good old-fashioned PBR this time. Guys, I've been talking doom and gloom. And shout out the 3-putt. I know he's a positive guy, and I don't want him thinking, man, 3-putt is a dear member of our Discord. And any time that we post a podcast, I think his first question is it all doom and gloom? Because I don't want to watch it. And I get that. I don't think this is doom and gloom. We still have a lot of games to play, guys. And I'm not saying that I'm like Ken Stradamus here, and I can predict that in 10 days, if we are still on the outside looking in, that we're not going to make the playoffs. I would say the odds would be stacked against us for sure. And my personal opinion is that we need to address it before the end of the month and before the roster freeze. So, but excuse me, wow, which I'm just sitting here burping in your guys' ear. That's crazy. At the beginning of the year, the next 3 games would have made me feel really good against the Kraken, against the Penguins, and against the Bruins. But all 3 teams are playing above average. So I think we need 4 out of 6 points there. If truthfully, if I have any hope for the remainder of the season, I think out of the next 3 games, we needed to win 2 of them and maybe secure a point in the 3rd one. If not, then I'm starting to get a little bit of a icky feeling. Not exactly getting the warm and fuzzies about everything, guys. So, but with that, again, I appreciate you guys. I talked your ear off for an hour and 11 minutes. And I appreciate you guys. I know this was kind of a different mood than we were all expecting when we talked about doing a live stream after the game. But I know we learn a lot from you guys in the Discord and the comments, and we'd love to hear more feedback from you guys on these videos, because every comment that you leave, whether that be in the Clean Hits Discord or on these YouTube channels, we talk about them. We read every single one of them, and we analyze it. And I think that's something that truly helps us. So we do appreciate every single one of you guys. Give us a search on Clean Hits Hockey on Discord. I'm trying to find the actual link. I should know this, but I'm just blanking on it right now. I'll post it in the comments. So give us a follow in the Discord. Hit there. Leave us a like, comment. Obviously, if you can share this, that'd be great. Anything that we can do to build our community and just reach more people, so we have more hockey people that we can chat with and get into these live streams, that would be super, super beneficial and very appreciated, because that's what we do here. We're nothing special. We're just 4 dorks that like to talk hockey with you guys. So thank you to the Clean Hits community. And without further ado, I'm going to try to chug the rest of this beer. I can't do it, guys. I'm sorry. I need to eat something. Everything hurts. I'm sad. All right, guys. Peace.
Running the game now.